Hey everybody, here we are at CPAC. With me right now is Kimberly Lowe. Kimberly, thank you so much for being on with me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We go way back to at least the last CPAC.
Exactly.
And we've been talking ever since. Such a great guy. Thank you for what you're doing, traveling around.
Well, thank you very much. Because I've watched you and I see how much you're fighting for the country.
Thank you.
You know, even not as an elected official, but just someone who cares about our country. You just got back from East Palestine,
East Palestine, right? Correct. So my name's Kimberly Lowe. I'm running for U.S. Senate in Virginia in 2024 against Tim Kaine, who was Hillary's running mate, and quite honestly, part of the swamp and part of the reason for this country having so many problems. He needs to go. He's been in for way too long.
Well, you know what? It's like, what is it, old fish, or what's the saying? When something's in there for a long time, it needs to be changed.
Yeah. If you don't recall who he is, he was Hillary Clinton's vice president pick.
That's right.
To give you an idea.
We've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And he's still senator there in Virginia.
Correct. Virginia has 2 Democrat senators, but yet we have a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. So I think now's the time to go take this seat. This seat is so important because it would be the swing vote in the Senate, and it would give the Senate the majority that it needs. And we're really not going to get anywhere unless we have that majority. So we really, really need people to back us up in this race. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of politicians.
Exactly. I really
am. Not a politician.
You're a farmer.
I'm a mom and a farmer. I'm a normal person. But like you said, I've been in my car, on the road, off my couch, all over Virginia, all over the nation, so I can see what's really happening. I spent an extensive amount of time at the border, Texas-Mexico border, horrifying what's happening, easily fixed with policy. I just got back from East Palestine. What occurred with the train derailment in East Palestine is going to be affecting much of America, and the media just isn't reporting it. If you don't already know about it, there were 50 train cars that derailed. 10 of those had toxic substances. And the railroad honestly did not do a great cleanup job. They decided to do a controlled burn. The issue with that is that it's affected air quality 1,200 miles north, all the way down south of Virginia. It's entered the groundwater, going from the Ohio River to the Mississippi. Now they're sending out this toxic waste all over the country as well.
So if you were senator, what would you have done to be able to help that situation there?
Right. We have to look at the policy side and say, what can we have control of when this is a private corporation like Norfolk Southern? What jurisdiction would we have over them as far as cleanup is concerned? And that's where the EPA comes in. The problem with the EPA is much of the time they don't do what's right. I can give a simple example. We have a lot of coal and coal mines in Virginia, and we're unable to have more efficient ways to produce what we get out of coal. Because the EPA has buried it even as far back as the 70s. So the EPA is not really our friend. They did not do a proper cleanup. It was really horrible what's happened to the people there. Our own president, Biden, didn't show up, and I've been there. We jumped in our car to go support people there.
As a senator, do you think maybe you could have made some phone calls or something and said, hey, something needs to happen?
Correct. And I don't feel like enough people showed up for everyone that's in East Palestine.
How busy was it? I mean, was there a lot of people there? I mean, was there a lot of work trucks there?
Yes.
What was the scenario like?
The first night, there were 30 firefighters and emergency crews from different states that showed up. The second day, there were 70 that showed up from adjoining states. By the time we had gotten there, which was recent, a little time after this had occurred, there was still cleanup, and they're filtering the water that's in the city, that's on the city well system or just on their city lines. Mm-hmm. But they're taking it all out, filtering it. And I still don't think that the water's safe there. It's not safe to cook in it, but a lot of people don't have any options. They're still taking baths in this water. It's highly contaminated with dioxins. People need to do some serious detox.
So let's talk more about your race in Virginia, because what you just shared about East Palestine shows your passion. You know, the conviction that you're able to have in your heart telling this story tells me how I guess motivated you are to be, senator for Virginia, but it also shows me what's in your heart, your community activism. And you've been doing that ever since I've known you. Every time I call you, you're in some state, you're traveling someplace to bring attention to some issue, and you're just a regular everyday citizen. A lot of people think that you need qualifications like to be a businessman, a millionaire, having in politics, have worked your way up the ladder, the political ladder. You were a dog catcher, you're a mayor, you were a state rep, and now whatever. But I think what it looks to me, and I want you to answer this question after I say how I feel about this, is that your activism makes you more aware of what's going on a personal and a citizen level. Do you think that's going to be enough to cross over to get people to vote for you as senator?
Quite honestly, I'm the only candidate that's running that's actually from Virginia. My family settled Virginia in the 1600s, all of South Side and Southwest Virginia. I've always been involved in my community, and I've been very effective at solving problems. I've worked on every problem that you can think of, from rails to trails to river flooding issues to immigration issues, 2A issues, constitutional issues, strengthening our families. But the problem is I can't fix it all without policy. When I first got involved with politics years ago, I think I figured out it's going to take huge national change to really get the help to the American citizens that we need. Because quite honestly, government policy is destroying America, destroying our families, and the government is our number one enemy. And this is all fixable, and that's why getting a majority in the Senate is so important.
So one of the things I like to talk about on my show a whole lot is freedom. And what I'm always finding that's happening in our country is everybody thinks of freedom as the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, religious freedom. And I think of freedom is under attack in a lot of ways. What's the number one way you might think that freedom's under attack in America?
Quite honestly, America doesn't own its children. The government owns our children. The government owns our children from the time that they enter school, from the time that they're at the hospital to give them whatever vaccinations. We're not even really aware of all the effects of vaccinations. You really don't get much of a voice as a parent. The government is the largest child trafficker that we have. We lose one child per minute into the government through CPS. Our children are indoctrinated through our public schools and a belief system. And the whole goal is a Marxist communist plan to destroy America. They've removed the family. They're trying to destroy the nuclear family. They've removed the father. They've removed God. They've done everything possible to try to control us and destroy us. So that's why government oversight is so important. There really isn't oversight. And thank goodness with the new Congress, they've created
a little bit of
committee
oversight,
so that way they can go back and say, hey, this is not okay. The government is for the people. It's not against the people.
Exactly.
Right? So let's take it back. Let's take our country back. I need people to get behind me.
I love this because I love the way you've expressed to everybody how our freedom is being taken through our children. Earlier, somebody else made that comment on my show, but they said it through the school boards. You're talking about how our own federal government is indoctrinating children through the policies that parents have to abide by. So in my opinion, for what you're saying, not only are our children losing their freedoms, but our parents are losing their freedoms.
Correct. Because
they're losing the ability to raise the children their way they choose to.
And if you enter any court in America, you'd be surprised that you really don't have rights. And someone who doesn't know your family can simply rip your child away from you. 10 years ago, the statistics were that more than 22 million American families have been separated by poor family court decisions. About 1,000 children have been murdered across the United States because children are put back with their abusers. We need to do more to protect our families, to protect Americans, and stand up against this government abuse.
So that's your freedom answer, but I have a unifying question too. I always say that in our country, we are more divided now than we ever have been, rather. I believe, though, that in our country, we're more united than what we realize. We're more united, but we don't realize it because the narratives and the media is always putting these stories out there that bring us further and further apart. But when we talk on a human level with somebody that we didn't think we had anything in common with, we go, wait a minute, how do I have so much in common with you, on this? I believe that when you keep working hard in the community and you keep getting the word out, you find those ways to unite more people. How will you?
I have an inappropriate story. It may make I may look a little bad. I don't know. We show up in East Palestine. We pull up to the first place we see. It's called the Roadhouse. My campaign manager's like, how do you expect to go in to talk to people there? Are you going to shake their hands? I'm like, nah, I'm just going to go talk to people. So it was a bar as soon as I walked in. So I ordered a drink. The guy next to us had heard my campaign manager mention Trump because Trump had just been in there that week. And he said, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. And I just was like, what can we do to help people here? By the time I left, he had gotten me a shot. Please don't judge me. I was trying to be
It was a shot of milk.
People.
I'm sure it was a shot of milk.
He had bought my drink. He had chosen music on the jukebox with me, and we were dancing. And he said, I hope you win your seat and get into office.
Amazing.
So it's all about the people connection, and the media is giving a false narrative. And when you go out to talk to people, you'll find out that the divide isn't real. We all care about our families and our communities and the economy and being able to put food on our table, right?
When I was running for a state legislature, I knocked on a door with and a female answered, and she said, I already know who you are. You're that Republican guy. And she slammed the door in my face. She actually said, I'd never vote for a Republican. She slammed the door in my face. And I looked down, and I kind of was writing, don't knock on this door again, kind of thing on my notes. And she opens up the door real quick, and she says, and she looked at me, and I looked up, and I just kind of gave, and she says, I'm so sorry. That was so rude of me. And do you know, we ended up talking for about 45 minutes. Nice. And when we got done, she says, I'm going to vote for you.
That's so nice.
And because we're two different people, come to find out, she's a registered Democrat. She was very, 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 very left-leaning liberal. But when we talked, we realized we do have a few things in common. And as a result of that, not only did I win the vote, but that's how we come together in our communities. What is a way that you would work to unify the people in Virginia to be able to realize that voting for you is the best thing?
First of all, I was not always a Republican. I walked away from the Democrat Party, and the Republican Party has used that against me often. But I've been there. I never actually went to a Democrat meeting, but I have voted in the past that way. I grew up in a very liberal city. Yeah. I went to very liberal colleges. And it took me going to a DNC convention in 2016 to realize, this is not okay. Something's wrong with this messaging. And I actually ended up going to Philadelphia to protest. And it took me time to learn where I stood politically. And I think people are so busy just trying to earn money and take care of their family and worry about their life problems, and they're on this hamster wheel that they don't even think about where they fall politically. And a lot of people fall for false narratives about what the Republican Party is. And I think we're just the party of the people and the party of the Constitution. And I know that Democrats in my state and Democrats all over America are saying, I can't afford gas. I don't have money left over. Food is insane. What are we going to do? Something's wrong under the Biden administration. Biden is giving all this money to another country instead of standing for America.
Right.
Did not show up in East Palestine to help people, is not going to the border to deal with those issues and the opioid epidemic. I'm pretty sure that American people are saying there has to be a change.
Absolutely. Right? We need not only, I don't want to say a red wave, we need an American wave.
Correct.
We need a wave of people saying, you know what, whatever the party might be, it's not about party anymore, it's about our country. And all too often, more and more people aren't coming together on our country, they're instead galvanizing on party. And as you said, people say, why are you Republican? I mean, even though, look, there's some things that the Democrats talk about that I can certainly, appreciate, because we find those things that we can unite on. But the reason I'm Republican is because most of my values and ideologies are right of center.
Right, yeah.
And that's what it takes. So when you forget about what side you're on, you forget what party you're on, and you remember that we're all Americans. Correct. It doesn't matter how far we believe on what spectrum, left or right, it's how we can come together.
Correct. So,
any final words on what you...
I would really love to have help with this campaign. Again, we need control of the Senate. We need people in that care, who are not politicians, who are real people, who are out there getting the job done already. You can find me at www.kimberlylowe.com. If you want to help save the country, you can do it from your couch. You can just help me with my campaign. I have so much that I need to have done. Also, Mike Lindell is doing a fundraiser for me May 13th in Richmond, Virginia.
Nice.
Tickets are for sale. Would love to have you come out for that. And thank you for everything that you do.
You're amazing.
How you've been everywhere.
Well, Kimberly, I tell you what, you're amazing. I love being everywhere. You do love it too. It's because we're fighting together. We're fighting this fight.
Exactly.
Thank you for fighting for our country.
You too.
But thank you for fighting for Virginia.
Thank you.
Everybody else, please share the video, and we got more CPAC videos coming up. Thank you so much.